Joined now by Paul Venables, the Finance Director for Hays. Hi, Paul.
Good morning.
As Caroline said, public sector versus private sector in the UK. Has the public sector bottomed out or not?
I think from a recruitment context, it was driven by sentiment. You know, we came out 6 months ago and said we expect our business in the public sector to bottom in an April-May timeframe, i.e. this month or next month. Sure. We expect that to happen. So the real question in the broader jobs market is how strong is the private sector recovery? And it's pretty much the same as 3 months ago. What we're seeing at the moment is all private sector companies replacing people that leave, candidate confidence improving slightly, little evidence of real job creation at the moment.
So is the private sector going to pick up the slack from the public sector? That's the question everyone wants answers.
I think in the next year or so that's unlikely. Beyond that, I mean, what's fascinating at the moment, you look at big UK employers, their growth markets are like Hays, they're international. You know, why is our market growing in Germany or Australia? Because lots of our clients are seeing the same. I think what we are going to see in the UK is, you know, if the central assumption is fairly tepid growth for the next 2 to 3 years.
Which is your central assumption.
And I think that's our central assumption. I think we're going to see the job markets continue to be fragile, not a significant increase in unemployment, but probably not, certainly not enough new jobs being created in the private sector for certain to more than offset the public sector part. And I think the real concern is going to be for those 21, 18-year-olds coming into the job market, where the job's going to be for them.
Are you seeing evidence that that portion of the job market is particularly weak, as has been widely reported in the media?
Well, the bullseye part of our jobs market is in the professional space, so clearly they're in the 25 to 30 age group. But generally, as we talk to our clients, I said, they're still looking for talent. They'll take good graduates, they'll take good professionals, but certainly in the earlier part of the calendar year, they'll be cautious. The critical months are the next 2 to 3 months. Most companies are a December year-end. They look at their trading for the first quarter. They look at the forward order book for the remaining part of the year. And if they're confident, they then start to increase jobs. I mean, we had a much better March, for example, than we did February or January. But I still think the UK is going to be fragile stability for the next few months.
Talk to me internationally, Paul. That's where it's all happening. I want to just ask about Japan, because I know in the first half you had a record period for Japan. How has the earthquake affected your business?
I think it's going to be too early to tell what the long-term damage is going to be. You know, our office stayed open throughout the downturn. The team have done a fabulous job. But clearly, candidates, and it's about candidate confidence, has taken one of the biggest shocks you can ever have. So what we've seen so far in March was a reasonable performance in Japan, but for that, it's all going to be about May and June time. You know, we're expecting to see certainly lower level of activity in the next 3 to 6 months. But really, for all businesses, it's going to be heavily dependent with how long it takes to deal with the nuclear issue. You know, it's one thing to have an earthquake, it's second to have a tsunami. A nuclear problem is a much bigger issue.
And of course, you've had issues, as has the countries in New Zealand and Australia, weather-related issues. They're your strongest international markets. Any impact? Yeah,
I think we had an impact in this quarter in Brisbane, for example. We said today about 3% of our Asia-Pacific fees went because of the various incidents. I have to tell you, Australia is looking strong growth. So we had a strong March. I think Brisbane, now, if you walk around the central business districts in Brisbane, you wouldn't really know the flooding had happened. Christchurch is a smaller market for us. That earthquake is much more severe, so it will impact for a bit longer. But internationally, you know, the job market looks very strong. And Europe, you know, the correspondent was talking about Germany up 39%. Really, any engineer we can find to work in Germany, we can find them a job within at least a week.
I'll get killed for asking you this. Quick line on periphery Europe, just really, really quick.
Well, I'll give you a very simple one. We are the second largest recruiter in Spain. We're 46% up in this quarter. So the jobs are there and people are starting to move, but they're being more cautious than it had been 2 or 3 years ago, and that shouldn't be a surprise.
Paul, thanks very much indeed. Paul Venables there, Hays CFO.